Today we're talking about the Cadd9 chord. I'm so excited to talk about this chord, and this is the second video that I've done just on this chord. We're talking mostly about the cultural impact of this chord. Is it possibly the most important chord of the last 30 years? The Cadd9 chord started making its appearance in pop and rock music in the 70s with songs like Behind Blue Eyes and Sweet Home Alabama. Alright, there's the Cadd9. Some version of that, sometimes with the pinky, sometimes without the pinky with that open E string. But since then, it's found its way into the hearts of guitar players and the ears of the world. But why is it so important? Why are we even talking about it at all? The Cadd9 chord is used almost exclusively with the key of G. But first, let's talk about some other examples of the Cadd9 chord being used in modern use. Let's go to the later 80s. We have Every Rose Has Its Thorn, Cadd9, boom. I mean, talk about a guitar forward song where we really hear the crispness of the guitar, and we hear that change from the G to the Cadd9. And then we get into the 90s. More than words. Right? Cadd9, 1990. Elderly woman behind the counter in a small town. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pearl Jam. Sorry, you have to listen to the song to know what I'm talking about. Hang, Matchbox 20, 1996. Good Riddance. Boom, Cadd9 again. And then you have Oasis, Wonderwall. Cadd9, boom. All For You, Sister Hazel, 1997. And then we hit the 2000s, and this is where the chord really takes off. The importance of this chord takes off in both pop music and on the worship scene. Chris Tomlin, look at his hands every time he plays. Look at any worship artist from the mid-2000s, well, all the way up till today. They're going to be playing this shape, these chords, key of G chords. For such a seemingly random or obscure chord, I mean, Cadd9, well, why do we use it? It's easy. No, seriously, it's easy. It's easy to do, and it sounds good, so everyone's doing it. I call those type 2 chords. Type 1 chords are your plain major minor chords. They're a block. They feel like a block. You go from this one to this one to this one. Whereas type 2 chords, they're easy to play and they sound good and everyone's doing it. So for all those reasons, it sounds fancy and it allows anyone from a beginner to a mediocre player to even, great players to use the chord. The Cadd9 chord harmonically ties itself to the other chords in the key of G. See how nice that sounds? So, kind of a little bit of theory behind it. A traditional C chord only has one note in common with the G chord, which is G is the root chord. It's the G note. The C chord has a G note in it, so it is connected by that one strand. But the Cadd9 chord adds a D note to the chord, and G chord has a D note. So G chord has the G, B, and D, and now this C has a G and a D. So now there's this two-stranded connection between the G to the Cadd9. So no longer does it feel like from one block to the next block, but they feel like they're more connected. So, sounds good, easy to play, everyone's doing it. Why wouldn't I play that chord? So let's talk more about the cultural impact of this chord. On the worship scene, you could say this position of chords within the key of G is the go-to position, which includes the G major chord, the D, the Dsus, the E minor 7, and this chord of which we speak, the sacred Cadd9. So why choose the Cadd9 to focus on? You could say this is the sound of the early and mid-2000s. Through today. Today, every Sunday across America, if you could zoom in on the worship leader's hands or the acoustic guitar player's hands, chances are they're playing this position 4 out of 5 songs. or more. And now, well, how is it used? The beauty of this position is that it sounds good. As a rhythmic background, it's got a jangly sound to it. It sounds good and full when the band is present. Or it can be used to be intricate and detailed sound, like Sweet Home Alabama or Good Riddance. That D note just sounds great. It can also be an upfront rhythm sound, like in Wonderwall again. All the room, when it goes to that, what, pre-chorus? Or Every Rose Has Its Thorn. Right? Sounds good either way you play it. But I hope you've enjoyed this video as we've delved deep into the decades to observe certainly the most interesting chord of our time. Do you see the chord going away anytime soon to be replaced with something else? What chord might that be, if so? My name is Jacob Paul with Inside Out Online. Please make sure and subscribe and shoot me a comment if you enjoyed this video. I'd love to chat. I'll see you on that next video.